There may or may not be counter-protesters to this event due to the nature. They are going to be located over there in the Rubber Mill parking lot. And Liberty is going to be our little buffer zone. The police have told us to tell you, if you cross Liberty, you go to jail. And they're 100% serious. The next thing is that the group that put this together has a team throughout the crowd to de-escalate any situation that may or may not happen. But I'm doubtful anything will happen, and we rely on all of you for that. So, in order to create an atmosphere of unity, love, and community, I need you all to turn to a neighbor. Say hi.
Hi. Hi. Hi. Hi. Hi.
Okay. Turn to another neighbor. Go ahead and turn to another neighbor. Say, I accept you. Turn to a different neighbor. Say, I
accept you.
Am your neighbor. Turn to a different neighbor. There's so many neighbors here, I can keep going all night if you want me to. Alright, to this neighbor, say we are in this. Together. Alright, here's the last one. I need you to turn to all of your neighbors or to me. Say it together. Hate has no home here.
Hate has no home here.
Great. All right, we're going to bring up Alex Cerno-Wallinger, the new chaplain at the College of Wooster. Welcome again to you all. We come from many places and many backgrounds, many faith and life experiences, and these journeys have all brought us here to this place and to this time. Be it hope or uncertainty, be it faith or fear, our common bond and our highest calling is that of love. To love our neighbors as ourselves, and to not let our self-love blind us to the need and pain that throbs in this community. We come to this place and hope it can be a place of unity. A space where this community comes together, transcending ideologies that often divide us in ways that we might stand together. Because standing against hate, standing against racism, standing against individuals and groups that peddle white supremacy, violence, or dehumanization is not and should not be a political issue, but an issue that concerns us all. And it is deeply, deeply heartening to see you each here today. And so now, friends, I would invite you to join me in a spirit of prayer. God who creates and God who unites, we have come to this time and we have come to this place to embody our belief that essential to the tapestry of this community is the fullness of humanity. Give us strength and give us wisdom to declare that hate has no home here, and that we stand on the side of love. For those of us who carry privilege, make us aware, help us repent, and redeem us from our privileged blindness. Bind us to our neighbors who regularly are unwelcome, marginalized, or harassed. Give us all ears to hear and hearts to listen. Prevent us from becoming hardened or indifferent in the pain of others, and help us to stand on common ground with those who struggle for justice, united against racism and intolerance. We remember and lift up all those who have gone before in the work community, those who have inspired us, those who have touched our own lives. May we carry forward their memory into our daily living. Bless this time, Holy One, as we are gathered this evening. May the word shared and our neighbors gathered be a living testimony for Community United. May we see the beauty in one another and in this moment, and may we leave inspired to be bearers of beauty in one another. Guide us in love, guide us in compassion, and above all, out of love and compassion, guide us to act. In the spirit of love we say, amen. I would now like to invite up John Clay, who is the president of the Wayne Holmes County NAACP. Oh, Wayne Orville NAACP.
Hello, everyone. Thank you everybody for coming out and supporting Wooster, supporting our community, giving us all an opportunity to stand in the same place with one voice, with one thought. Hate is not welcome here. Before I get too far into that, I'd like to thank Indivisible Wooster for helping put this together, concerned citizens of Wayne County for helping put this together, and of course, the Wooster Orville NAACP. You know, when I saw that first picture of the plastic bag with the propaganda in it, with the candy in it, it did exactly to me what it was meant to do. Fear shot through me. Fear shot through me. I thought, oh my God, are we going to have to do this again or continue to do this? So here we are, all gathered here today as one community to do this again. I am so grateful for everyone that's standing here today. You know, I sat at home today. I don't think I even went outside, trying to figure out what I was going to say when I got here. I probably had 200 speeches that ran through my head, and I can't remember a single one of them right now. But my heart says that I need to continue to work in our community to make it a better place to live, the best place in Wayne County. You know, I've only been here for about 25 years, but this place feels like home to me. It just feels like home. And I like to keep that feeling, one day at a time. You know, when we started talking about putting this rally together, one of the first things we said was that it was to be a non-partisan event. This wasn't a time to be this side or that side for all that. This is a time to be together. And it doesn't matter what your other beliefs are, what your other religious beliefs are, what the color of your skin is. We're here. This is where we need to be. I'm so grateful to see all of you. Thank you, you're too kind. I've been carrying this folder around with me It has 2 letters in it. You know, I thought as a nonpartisan event that I should reach out to some of our senators, one on each side. I have one from Sarah Brown, and I also have a letter from Jim Renisi. And I don't think I'm going to take the time to read all that to you right now, but if you'd like to read them, you're more than welcome to. But they were both supportive of what we are doing. They both say there's no place in our state, in our country, and in our lives for hate. You know,
Okay. We're surprisingly diverse population for our size and location. And more to the point, many of us live here because we appreciate that diversity. And we want to raise our kids here and our grandchildren and live with the neighbors that we learn to appreciate. And today we're here because our town, our county, and the county immediately south of us have been leafleted with KKK propaganda, and we strongly object to it. This is not a new problem. Our parents have seen it, our grandparents have seen it, and now it's up to the younger generation. Now we're seeing it too. And I'm going to quote you some song lyrics that come from a post-World War II Broadway musical. You probably remember having heard about it if you haven't seen it. South Pacific. This is one of the lesser tunes. It says you've got to be taught to hate and fear. You've got to be taught from year to year, and it's got to be drummed in your dear little ear. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught before it's too late, before you're 6 or 7 or 8, to hate all of the people that your relatives hate. You've got to be carefully taught. And that's how many of us grew up, and we've learned better. Or maybe you have the good fortune not to grow up that way, and that's even better. So good for all of us. And you know, today we're not going to pretend that this isn't happening and that we don't see it anymore. We're not going to talk about it with our friends over coffee and then smile when we go out to the Publix, to the grocery store, to the gas station, and pretend it's not real. So look around you, look at the people next to you and the people behind you, and look at their faces and know who they are, because these are your friends and your neighbors, and they are different religions and different colors and different education levels, and they all have different talents and abilities. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what makes us the community that we are. That's why we're a valuable living community, and that's why we're here. So it's important that we all recognize that and know that all those people are what make us that way. A little more to finish up. This one is from Alex Devin, a much more familiar and newer face. It says, I see your twisted faces and the hate on which you feed, and I'm hoping now you might become the last of a dying breed. And you might seem indifferent to these words that I have to say, but your ideas have no traction here. So step out of the way. You shout your shattered slogans and claim some birthright as your own and how your racial superiority was somehow overthrown. But I see your twisted faces and the hate on which you feed. And I'm hoping now you might become the last of a dying breed. So tomorrow, gas station, in the grocery store, in the restaurant, in the clubs. Smile at those people or tell them your name and say, hi, how are you, neighbor? And remember, that's you and me are the reason we are how we are. and we need to help keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Betsy. Betsy Sheets, the chair of the Wayne County Democratic Party, please give her a hand. For those of you who don't know me, what a wonderful crowd. I am Doug Deacon. I'm the chairman of the Wayne County Republican Party, but on this issue, there is not 1 inch of daylight between Betsy and I. When I first heard about these flyers being circulated from this extremist fringe group, I think the first feeling I had was one of disbelief. Oh, come on, it can't possibly be, but it is true. And in fairness, none of us should be terribly surprised because discrimination and prejudice has existed as long as recorded history or longer. It is part of the human condition, and it will be probably long after we're gone, but we can minimize it, we can fight against it, and we must strive against it. These things are born of fear and ignorance, and fear and ignorance can be overcome. But how do we overcome fear and ignorance? Obviously, ignorance is lack of knowledge, so education is part of it, sure, but none are so blind as those who will not see. Many people who have these ignorant views aren't interested in being educated, but that doesn't mean we don't try. Let me tell you why. While you are arguing with logic and reason in civil tone against their horrible, evil positions, it's not just you and the recipient of your speech. It is also the third party who's watching you.
Do you still
And they're
support
trying
Trump?
to see who it is that first resorts to an uncivil tone, who first resorts to ad hominem attacks, who first resorts to baseless attacks against each other, because then they see which side it is that is rooted in fear and evil. And as long as we do that, we continue with a civil tone to positively engage and show compassion and show that we have the facts and the logic and the reason on our side, we will succeed. But how? How in our age, where we have more access to human knowledge than anyone in history, all of us have our smartphones in our pockets, that has the totality of human knowledge at our fingertips. And we can look up anything, and what do? We look at cat pictures on the internet, right? And we go on social media, and we got we build echo chambers. We friend people with similar views to ourselves, and if somebody posts something on our page that we don't agree with, we unfriend them. And I'm here to tell you that that's wrong. Don't unfriend people with dissimilar views. Engage them, listen to them, because when you start excluding dissimilar views, you build an echo chamber. Confirmation bias takes hold, and things become tribal, they become balkanized, and that's not America. We need to become comfortable being uncomfortable. We need to become comfortable with getting outside of that comfort zone, with getting outside of that echo chamber. Ask any athlete how their training will go and how their performance will be on game day if they never push themselves. They'll tell you they'll fail. And the same is true with our minds. If we stay inside our comfort zones, we'll never push ourselves, we'll never get better. We have to get outside our comfort zones and engage people different from ourselves. And the last thing I want to leave you with is good news. Good news is we're winning this fight, and we've been winning it for a long time, and our children are going to do even better than we will. And because of it, America will prosper, and all of us will do better, and America will live up to its promise of liberty and freedom and equality for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doug. Let's have one more round of applause for Doug Deacon. Thank you, everyone. everybody. Thank you so much for coming out. My name is Sarah Bolton, and I have the privilege to be the president of the College of Wooster up the hill. So I'm so grateful to see all of you here today. As many folks have said, many people here I know, and many I'm just getting to know. My husband Ari and I have lived in this community just 1 year, and we have been so welcomed and so cared for. We're so grateful to be here. Friends, I think you know that this is a crucial moment for our country and a crucial moment for our community. Bad things are happening. Racism, neo-Nazi activity, white supremacy, anti-Semitism seem to be rising in some way. They seem to be gaining traction in some way. In some sense, people seem to be treating them as normal. They are not normal. They are not acceptable in our community or in any community. People have fought and died to protect the freedoms that these kinds of hate seek to suppress. People died in World War II to uphold these freedoms. People died in the civil rights movements to uphold these freedoms. People are still dying to uphold these freedoms, and we must stand with them and fight against these forms of hatred. The kinds of freedoms that we are trying to uphold here are the same ones that people talked about all the way back in the Second World War when we talked about Franklin Delano Roosevelt's 4 freedoms. Freedom of speech, freedom to worship, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. Every member of our community deserves those freedoms, and we have to come together to ensure that every member of our community has them. We cannot go back, and we will not go back. So what does it have to do with Wooster and our surrounding remarkable communities in Wayne County? Wooster is a wonderful place. This is a caring community where people look out for one another. One of the special things about Wooster is that every year a whole lot of new people arrive in our community from around the country and from all over the world. They come to the College of Wooster, they come to OARDC, they come to ATI, they come through the Rotary Exchange Program, and they come to join as people who work in many of our local businesses. And this is a community that is committed to welcoming all of those people. I am amazed as the president of the College of Wooster that when I bring 570 new first-year students like we did last week, that the citizens of this city welcome them so deeply and do so much to make sure that their experiences here are marvelous, that they learn and live and thrive here. I cannot thank you enough. I know it's a big effort to have all those new people all the time, and this community does a great job of welcoming them. Wooster is a remarkable place. But here's the thing. This is a remarkable city, but it does not make us immune to the forces of hatred that are out there and that sometimes are also in here. Those KKK flyers arrived here, and I think we've all heard of other kinds of incidents that have happened of hatred and harassment. It's a real thing. So the question is, what can we do? And what's wonderful is that this is a huge group of people, and really smart and creative and committed people. So together, I know we will come up with a lot of answers to that question. What can we do to stay whole, to stay welcoming as a community, and to push out hate? So I just want to give you 2 quick suggestions before I finish. So the first suggestion is to stand up and be an ally. When hate comes to call in a city like ours, we need to pay attention to who is most vulnerable. And unfortunately, it is not the case that everyone is equally vulnerable. We need to pay attention to who is targeted and to stand up for those people. We all desperately, we all desperately want this to be a welcoming community, right? So say yes if you want that to already be the case, that this is a welcoming community. Say yes. Okay, so here's the thing, that's great, and the challenge of that is that if someone comes up to you and says, I feel afraid, I'm afraid that something may happen to me, our tendency is sometimes to say, don't worry, this is a welcoming community, you'll be fine, don't think about it. And the thing is that that's probably not what that person needs at that moment. So we can think about what else can we do? How can we stand up for that person? We can say, how can I help you? What do you need? Do you need to duck into my house? That would be fine. Would you like me to walk with you from here to there? I'd be happy to do that. Do you want to come charge your phone at my plug? You can do that too. We need to ask people what they need and not assume that they feel okay. That's being an ally, and when all of these people do that together, when all of you do that together, when all of us do that together, we weave a safety net that can hold every person in our community until the moment that we can drive out that hate. So the last thing I want to say, the last suggestion that I have is a thing that we're all doing already today and that I hope we keep doing, which is standing up together. Standing up together about the things that matter most for our community and for our country, as Doug said. So, you know, in many, many places, on many television shows, in many parts of the world, what you will hear is that the thing we are doing today, standing up together for what's most important across differences of belief and differences of political orientation and differences of history and differences of personal experience, that standing up together has somehow become impossible. I claim that we are living proof that that is not true. We can stand together, we do stand together, and we will stand together moving forward. This gathering and all of you here and all of our speakers are evidence that what unites us is far, far greater than what divides us, and that in that unity stands our strength as a community to move forward. So I am so grateful to be a part of this community with you and looking forward for the work that we will continue to do together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. One more round of applause for Sarah, please. My name is Jacob Dotson, and I'm honored to be here with you today. I'm the pastor at Wooster Mennonite Church, and this is an inspiring moment. This is a unique moment. I hope you'll take a second here to look around at the people standing next to you. And after this event ends, at least the speaking portion, will you stay and go deeper into relationships with your neighbors and those who are here right beside you, next to you? Will you stay after? We have a musician who will be playing after we're done speaking very shortly here. His name is Jordan Smart, so we invite you to that. I'd like to share a quote that really captures the vision of this moment from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. After Selma, he said these words at the state capitol in Montgomery. He said, "And so I plead with you this afternoon, as we go ahead, remain committed to nonviolence. Our aim must never be to defeat or humiliate the other, but to win their friendship and understanding. We must come to see that the end we seek is a society at peace with itself, a society that can live with its conscience." How countercultural would it be for us today as we leave this place, as we reject the message of these flyers, reject the attempts of these flyers to recruit others, if we do that and at the same time hold up another way for the intended audience of those flyers to find meaning and connection in our community? How countercultural would it be if our churches and our organizations made space for dialogue, for people to gather around the table with one another, where they could find meaning and connection? And the vehicle that these flyers are holding up to get there could be dismantled and we could hold up a much better vehicle that we share together of our commitment to walk side by side in unity. How countercultural would that be? If we would carry forth in this place the spirit in which we are gathered today, a nonpartisan spirit where we're not advocating just for our unique tribe, as was said earlier, but we see a bigger picture, an overarching calling for the reconciliation and the peace of our community. How countercultural would that be, my friends? I would like to close with this benediction, and I invite you to join me in prayer. May God bless us with discomfort, at easy answers, half-truths, and superficial relationships, so that we may live from deep within our hearts. May God bless us with anger at injustice, oppression, and exploitation, so that we may work for justice, freedom, and peace. May God bless us with tears to shed for those who suffer pain, rejection, hunger, and war, so that we may reach out our hands to comfort them and to turn their pain into joy. And may God bless us with just enough foolishness to believe that we can make a difference in the world, so that we can do what others claim cannot be done, to bring justice and kindness to all our children and all our neighbors who are poor. Amen.
Struck fear into the hearts of a lot of people, including my family. But we don't need to be afraid, because we got a little light. That's what I learned when my daughter was born. She's got a little light. My mom sang that song to me. Your mom probably sang it to you. So it goes like this. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Come on. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine all over my house. All over my house, I'm gonna let it shine. All over my house, I'm gonna let it shine. All over my house, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All over my town. All over my town. Come on. I'm gonna let it shine. All over my town. I'm gonna let it shine. All over my town. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Ain't gonna be no darkness. Ain't gonna be no darkness. 'Cause I'm gonna let it shine. Ain't gonna be no darkness. I'm gonna let it shine. Ain't gonna be no darkness. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it each other?